14:20 in the morning for January 17th, 2023. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped and manscaped.com. Use promo code 1420SCAPED at manscaped.com today. The Beard Hedger 2000 or whatever it's called is getting launched today. We have a contest we'll get into a little bit later that we talked about on last night's 1420 show, but we'll talk about that a little bit later because the big news of the day, I guess, of the morning is the Dallas Cowboys victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last night, 31-14 in what very well could be Tom Brady's last game in a Tampa Bay Bucs uniform, maybe a football career gone to the end. Maybe the GOAT is finally done. I hate that term, GOAT. GOAT is a meat that you put onto a gyro. But last night, the big news of that football game was the place kicker for the Dallas Cowboys, Brett Maher, missing 4 extra point attempts, missed the very first 4 that he tried. A couple were close. One hit the upright. The others were not so good. He did make his last one, but you just wonder if that game was closer last night, how Mike McCarthy would have attacked the game plan if it was a 1-point game going into the late in the fourth quarter, and the extra point would have tied the game if they would have been forced to go for 2 to guarantee. Not even guarantee that. Going for 2 is harder than the extra point, but the extra point last night was seemed to be the toughest thing in professional sports. As you were watching it unfold, you couldn't believe, because we were recording it last night, and he missed the fourth one. You're like, holy smokes, this is something else, something you've never seen before. And I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head that you could compare it to. Maybe a putter having the yips and missing a 3 or 4 1-footers in a row, back to back like that, and then getting the tap in to get the bogey or the par or whatever it may be. Or you think of a guy missing free throws and how that can impact a basketball game, but that happens every game. Guys very rarely go 100% from the free throw line, but that's just the way that the basketball bounces sometimes. I couldn't think of anything, and then this morning when I woke up, I mean, this is a different thing altogether as well, but you can kind of compare it to when Chuck Knobloch, when he played for the New York Yankees, ended up with the yips and couldn't throw it from second base to first base. They called it the Steve Sax syndrome. So that was kind of a thing where I think by it was 2000, I think it was, he had the 15 errors by a halfway point in the season from second base. There was one game he had 4 errors, I think it was. He just said, that's enough, I'm out, I'm done, from like just a simple little throw, and you usually have a lot of time to make that throw. There was one game where, it's a funny little story that Keith Olbermann told on, I think it was Letterman or something, where Keith Olbermann, the famous broadcaster, he was on SportsCenter on ESPN for a long time, and now he went political and he's on Fox or MSNBC or whatever it is, or it could be CNN for all I know. I don't follow that a whole bunch, but it was it's a funny story where Knobloch, he threw one, got away on him as they started to at the end of his career, airmailed it into the stands, hit Keith Olbermann's mom right in the dome. Say Olbermann, Brent. Olbermann's mom right in the head, and caused a little bit of damage, and he just basically called her good, and by that, he was released. 2001, I think he played a little bit of left field for Joe Torre's Yankees, but then he ended up retiring, or not retiring, ended up signing a 1-year deal to end his career with the Kansas City Royals. It's early today, folks. Anyways, good football game last night. You wonder if Tom Brady, he was forcing it a little bit last night. He's trying to do too much. There was one play I that doesn't look right for a esteemed quarterback of Brady's pedigree, where he went across his body, threw up a hope into the end zone, and then that ended up being an incomplete pass. It didn't look right. He's forcing the issue, and then there was the red zone interception in the first quarter, or the first half, sorry, that ended up being kind of like this is what the game's going to be. You can tell this is how this game's going to roll. Brady don't got it, and Prescott was really good last night, and you just seen that they were going. You wonder if Brady's going to be coming back. But let's get back to the extra point guy. Like I said, you wonder if there was point, like the aforementioned Dak Prescott, after the third missed extra point. You've seen him his on the bench slamming his helmet on the ground, just go for fucking two. He said, hate to swear this early in the morning, but you wonder if that would have been a team decision later on at halftime. Like I said, he got the fifth one that he made it like he's supposed to, but it was a remarkable thing that you just got to go. How is this going to keep rolling? How can this keep happening? And then you wonder, like I said, you wonder if how the game would have been played out if it was a closer game and he would have been forced to make a little chip shot to win it, or a chip shot, or the extra point. I mean, it's a 40-yard field goal. I couldn't do it, but it is their only job, and it is their only thing that they have to do. You think that would be more automatic than it is? Yeah, it seems like they did push it back. They did push it a few years back to make sure that they make it more of a challenge instead of just a chip shot to get the extra point. They didn't do the XFL thing where you had to go for two. They didn't have the extra points back then. That was a bit ridiculous back in the day, but this wouldn't. Try different things, I guess. But yeah, you just wonder how that would have played out if they would have had to alter the way that they coached that game and played that game. The Prescott would have had to have forced things a little bit more if it was closer. It would have been fun to watch that and see how it would have played out. As for Brett Maher, they said that they're going to bring him back next week. I'm not sure what the rules are. If you can just grab a guy to bolster your playoff your playoff roster. Maybe if it's a guy on the injured reserve or on the practice roster, he could jump into that situation and play. But they went right to Jerry Jones right after the game, and they asked him what his thoughts were. He said they'll keep him around. Well, I believe it when I see it. But it's funny how only in Dallas do they go to a right to the owner and get his thoughts of what goes on. I can't think of any other professional sports team in any professional sports league where the reporters, the podcasters, the whoever, the beat guys go right to Jerry Jones for his thoughts, and Jerry's right down there to give his thoughts too. Even last night during the broadcast, when the Cowboys were rolling and touchdown after touchdown, they kept panning up to his luxury box and the owner's box, and he had his cronies in there, and they kept showing him and showing his face off that he was doing good, and how it's his team. And make no mistakes, it's Jerry's team. He's the owner, president, general manager, and the whole bit. He pays the bills, and he's self-made man, the whole bit. But it's funny how that he's the guy in Dallas, and they go to him. And I can't think of any other sport or any other owner in any other sport where they did that. Maybe it's Steinbrenner back in the Yankees, but last night was pretty egregious what they were doing with going up to Jerry and getting his sound bites all the time. But they're going back to him to be the kicker. He'll practice things, and like I said before, most of these sports, these guys don't lose their skill, they lose their confidence. And that 6 inches or 8 inches between your ears, that can be a heck of a disaster on a nightly basis. Your mental health and the voice in your head can really take a beating sometimes out there in the world of sports and out in the playing field. As for Brady, I would think that he's got to have a long, hard look at what he's done success wise in his career, and go out on that note. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are what their record said they were. They're not very good. They played in a weak division. That's why they made the playoffs. Their record was ended up being 8-9, so 8-10 when it's all said and done with the playoff loss. And you got to think that will be his last. He wouldn't go back for another kick at the can for to play again in a situation where you don't have a chance to win. I mean, winning is very hard in any sport, but football, it seems to get harder and harder. Having back-to-back multiple championships is a tough thing to do. You look at what happened with the Rams this year. They didn't even make the playoffs, weren't even close. They had some injury problems and this and that, but you would think that Brady would stay away from going to a situation where he has no chance to win. There are rumors he's going to head out to San Francisco, where he's from, because they have a chance to win. They have a very good team, but it does San Fran want to spend that kind of money, and would Brady take a bath to play for less money? Because San Fran seems to be doing fine not paying quarterbacks. With Big Cock Brock in there doing what he's doing. So you just wonder if this is it for Brady. You wonder if he's going to just take a long, hard look at the last year of his life and how everything has gone on. I don't think that him playing football was the only reason why him and Giselle split the sheets and called her good, but it was probably one of the deciding factors. Usually there's a lot of things that happen in situations, and then it's the final thing that calls her good. I don't expect to see Brady back. I would be surprised if he doesn't actually retire and just go up into the press box and call her good and become and make his $35 million per year, or whatever it was going to be, playing or being a broadcaster. That whether he'll be good at that or not, I don't know. He's not the maybe something will come out of him. His personality might come out, because he seems to be a pretty bland guy. But something might come out, and he might be a pretty good broadcaster. Most guys who come off the field and into the box aren't that good. So you just never know how that's going to turn out. Decent game last night. Playoffs have been pretty decent so far. I went 5-1 in my pick'em so far. I know nobody cares about that, but 5-1 for me is pretty good. There's a couple of games during the week that I didn't think I had a chance with. That Jacksonville game kind of saved my bacon. Of 4-2, and 5-1 just sounds so much better than 4-2. And I should have went with my head instead of my heart last night. I just can't pick Dallas to do anything. I just don't like Dallas. I like Dallas less than I like Tom Brady.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.